Welcome to the plant room. So today I'm in the plant room and I'm gonna try to clean it up. It's cold in here. I mean cold, like compared to the house. It's not actually cold in here. I look like a potato because I have been trying to reinforce the chicken coop for like 2 hours this morning because they keep getting out. So I'm not gonna be in this video. But there, you know, this is the plant room. I keep my house plants in here that are too big to go upstairs. Like this money tree is probably getting close to 10 feet tall now. Anyway, it doesn't go through doorways. It gets caught in ceiling fans. It's just enormous. So it lives in here. There's also some avocado trees in here. That's these little things. These little blossoms here are on avocado trees, and there's a whole bunch of fruit flies in here still. This has been the issue in here, has been the fruit flies. So anyway, we threw everything in here in a hurry when I had my gallbladder surgery like 3 months ago, and it was going to get cold outside. So it's a mess, and oh, someone knocked over my coffee plant. It looks like it's okay. There's a cat in here, so she's fun. I pack orders in here for my business, so I've taken a break for a while, but I have some orders and I need to make this space functional for myself, for my plants, for my business. So if you haven't figured out, I'm an artist. That's an easel. I don't use it a whole lot, so it's in here because I don't have a lot of room in the room I do paint in. So my surviving pepper and tomato plants and herbs and things so far, they're all in here, but they're not in an ideal spot for light. And the weather today is kind of crappy. It's kind of cold. It's windy. It's going to be 26 tonight. I don't see a point in taking them outside. So I'm going to make a better spot and take some furniture out of here that doesn't belong in here, sweep the floor and all that kind of stuff so that it's easier to roll a cart over to the window to put these things in a place where they will be much happier than they are right here. Okay, it's actually the next day, but this is the space that I've kind of chiseled out here for my plant room. Actually, that's not all of it. So we have this, and then there's also this little table over here, which is currently laden with stuff, not fortune cookies, actually bricks of soil. It is like sunset, so I don't know how much I'll get done because the lighting in this room is not great once the sun goes down. Something that needs to be worked on in here. We talked about track lighting at one point, but I had a packet of Alexandria strawberries that I bought in 2017 from Baker Creek, and I never had a lot of luck with them before, and I just thought it was something that I did wrong. But even starting them on the plate this year, which works for even the most stubborn seeds, typically, I have had one. It's been more than 10 days. In fact, it's been just about 2 weeks since I started these, and one has popped open. I'm going to put that one in a seed flat and label it. And then I'll put the cover back on that, mist it with some more water, and we'll see if the rest of them pop at any point. So there's different kinds of seed starting mixes. I like this, personally. I can get this really easily at the nearest town. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and I think it works better. I also have this stuff. I don't know if you can see that. But I have more I had more disease when I used that than when I used that, so. Yeah, well, guess what? I'm back and I saw you the whole time. Were you good? So I'm using warm water for this. This is actually a antique wash basin set. It was $5 because somebody dropped it and cracked it, but I think it's pretty and it works for this. All right, sorry, I'm pulling on my new half zip that I got today. I don't know how to wear this yet, but my gardening clothes either are too big or are disintegrating. So it's time to buy new pants, a new zip up thing. So it takes a few minutes and you just let it hydrate. So I'm gonna move that over a little bit. Might need more water in there actually. I think I will. Which is why you get a big pitcher. Or you do this outside where you have a hose, maybe. But I don't want to go outside more than I have to. I'm gonna get allergy shots pretty soon. Okay. After several years of using flimsy stuff, I decided to buy these from Bootstrap Farmer. They're pretty tough. Man, it's got that. They're a little more expensive, but if they even last for like 3 years, then it's cheaper than the other stuff. Oh my goodness. Whoops, I just made a huge mess. Oh well, that's why you have a plant room. Needs even more water. It's better to even have it like a little bit too wet than to not have it wet enough. Yep, yep. Meow, meow. What are you doing? And the beagle are barking. What's new? Well, if you don't want to get splashed, don't sit there. Oh my goodness, this gets really heavy after a while. These sweet potatoes, they started growing a while ago, and I'm going to try to remove them and put them in dirt and see if they'll grow roots. It worked with the ones that could touch the dirt, but I had to take them out of what they were growing in. I think I'm going to put them in these so that they have some room to get going. So I'm going to just kind of, I got these cheaper, flimsier ones because Bootstrap Farmer makes some more sturdy ones like this, but I have a hard time getting plants back out of things like that. I've had some before and I ended up losing a lot of plants because it doesn't really matter how gentle you are with those, you always end up losing something. But I have enough time that if this doesn't work, I can start over. So this might even work too well too early, and I might regret. I don't really know. I couldn't have done anything differently, but you know. Okay. So I'm just going to stick that down in there so that they have enough in them. So I'm using the 128 cell plug whatever tray from Bootstrap Farmer. This is the first time I have bought these. I'm hoping that they will last longer than some of the other stuff that I've bought and not give me the problems that I've had with like the biodegradable ones that just attracted pests and yeah, was kind of a nightmare. Alrighty, so I'm gonna take this one little tiny little strawberry seedling very gently and very carefully pull it without breaking that very tiny little root. off of the plate and the napkin that it was attached to. And I'm gonna transplant it like that. This thing is so tiny, I doubt that I can even make it visible to you, but there it is. And because it's the only one, I'm gonna put on some tape that it is a straub. They're very distinctive from everything else anyway, but then we just know for sure where I put it and which tray it is in. The other stuff, everything I'm going to plant in here doesn't need a heat mat to germinate. I will be taking these outside every day that it is warm enough for them to go outside. And if it's warm enough at night, they'll stay out all night until they're big enough to just go in the garden. All right, so first up is celeriac, the monarch variety from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. I'm going to try to drop like somewhere between 2 to 4 in these. These don't like to be covered very deeply, so I will just sprinkle a little bit of dirt on top. I don't know how many of them will actually germinate. Now, Southern Exposure does put on here the germination rate that they tested. This one, the celeriac, had 91% germination rate. My experience has been that their germination rate on the package is pretty accurate. So I might regret having so many, but I can always separate them. Don't want to cover these up very much. The seeds are tiny, and it says in the instructions to sow no deeper than 2 to 4 times the seed diameter. So I'm really just going to make sure that they're stuck and leave them. Okay, next up is golden self-blanching celery. This only had a 69% germination rate though. Usually Southern Exposure, if they have a germination rate that's kind of low, they will put extra seeds in the packet in order to make up for it. So since it is really low, I'm going to do 2 rows again, but I'm going to just kind of really put them in there pretty heavily. And actually, I'm going to do 3 because I really like celery. Actually, I might put it like that. Okay. Next up, got some mustard greens. This is an old favorite. Florida broadleaf mustard is having big problems with a new bacterial blight, so Carolina mustard breeders have come to the rescue and added needed resistance. Now, I have a lot of seeds. This is true. The thing is that I can plant stuff 2, 3, or even 4 times a year here, depending on what it is. So if you're looking at this and you're like, wow, that's so many seeds, you don't probably need to buy this many. And honestly, like if you don't want to garden like a bunch of times all year long, then even if you live in a climate like this where you can garden all year, you don't have to. You can just say, I'm just going to grow tomatoes and peppers and call it a year or whatever. I just really like to garden all the time, and I think it's good for your health. And so, you know, and I feed a lot of people, so I don't want to miss an opportunity to grow something for, you know, almost free if I could. And honestly, some of these plants, these will live here just all year round for a few years, as long as they're kept watered and such. And then we have champion collards. I still have some collards that are going from before, but only 3 have made it all the way through the bugs and the summer and into the winter and through all the frosts. So these 2 rows are collards. Right. And then we get to some Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts. I've had no luck growing them here. Things started to look like they were improving, and then my chickens got in the garden and ate my Brussels sprouts. What does this have? So this is a 90% germination rate. and they don't like to be sown very deep. These 2 rows are Brussels sprouts. We've got some lettuce, we've got fennel, some leeks, asparagus. I'm gonna actually start these on a wet plate. What else have we got? Butterhead lettuce, summer crisp lettuce, romaine lettuce. We got all kinds of lettuces, and that is just the new stuff. That isn't even including this older stuff that I have, and some stuff that I bought and probably didn't show you. And then I'll get another one of these and we'll do just lettuce in the next one. Next, I think we'll do leeks. These Bulgarian giant leeks. I also bought some seeds from Annie's. I think I bought these at the end of last year. This one's a romaine lettuce blend. I always have really good luck with Annie's seeds. They just don't have as much of a variety, and I think they're a lot farther north than I am, so they don't necessarily have seeds that are adapted to my climate. Okay, you need to stop, Kat. You're being really mega weird. So I only have one of these. I'm not gonna plant these as thickly as I did these Waldman seeds, because I will probably try to direct sow or succession sow some of these. Romaine is very popular with my family members, so when we have tacos, we use it a lot, so I will try to get as much out of this packet as I can. It says that this includes Cimarron, Freckles, Marvel of Four Seasons, Paris Island Cause, Rouge d'Ivre, and Winter Density. So we'll see if it really has such a variety, or if some of them don't germinate or whatever. The Adriana Butterhead lettuce from Johnny's. Now, lettuces actually, a lot of these packages say on the back to keep them below 75 degrees for germination. So you don't want to put these on a heat mat because they won't germinate. So I have an update on my seeds that I started on plates. So I started some onions as well. These bunching onions have sprouted, and so I'm going to transplant all the sprouted ones into here. I was not too sure about growing these other 2 in my environment, even though they were sold locally. But then on further investigation, I found out that they are not appropriate for the length of day that we have here. So one is the Gran X onion, and they didn't germinate at all. And they're starting to mold. Was the Gladstone onion, which I'm not going to unwrap at all because it is all moldy. Yum. So I will be throwing those napkins full of seeds into the compost. And I'll use the plates to start some artichokes or something else. So I'm going to poke them down, and then I'm just going to take the onion. And so the way that this is growing, the root is the white part, and then the seed is attached to the top of the sprout. Okay. And that white part is what will become our onion eventually. So we want to put that down, obviously, and we'll see. I've heard that plants started this way, that our root vegetables will never grow a bulb. So far, the ones that I've done seem to be doing okay, but it's too early to tell. And I have plenty of seeds to do some more the correct way. Now, normally I would have gotten after this a bit sooner, but these, I was busy with work and medical appointments and things like that. So these kind of got away from me and got a little bigger than I would have liked them to be. Anyway, these are bunching onions, so I don't think they get real big anyway. But as you can see, a lot of the seeds didn't germinate at all. So if I had done this a different way, I would have wasted space in my garden or in my seed flats on the seeds that didn't do anything. And personally, I like to maximize my garden space as much as I can. So I don't want to waste space on like allowing space for plants that ultimately aren't going to do anything. So this might be a little bit too controlling for some people, and I totally understand that. From my experience, plants have a pretty good sense of gravity, so they don't, like, they'll correct, and from what I think anyway. If you've ever planted a flower bulb and you accidentally planted it sideways or upside down, the plant figures it out, and it might grow out the side, or it might wrap completely around the bulb and grow the right way, but it doesn't really matter, I don't think. And so I don't really think that it matters if you start them like this, personally. Now, if you started them like this and you left them on something like this and tried to grow onions on it, like, obviously that isn't going to work. But otherwise, I think, that generally they will what they have to do in order to survive, because they are living things, and living things typically want to stay living things. So the rest of these that, some of them have started to germinate, and really if you could get them when they're like this, or there's just a little tail coming out of the seed, that would be better than letting them get an actual green shoot on them. They'll be formed correctly from the beginning, and you won't have little curlicue things. So, if you measured out your space and you planted 1 onion per inch or something to start with, you might be really disappointed when you only ended up with, random spacing on your onions, some an inch apart, some 2, 3, or 4 inches apart. You'd have big holes in your garden where you could have planted something. So that's why I do it this way. I know it's more tedious and such, but also I get better germination on the seeds. And sometimes when you start them, the traditional way, you end up losing them in the soil, or you plant them so deep that the seed doesn't get enough light to get the cue to start, or something, goes wrong because of just very simple mistakes that are easy to make. But when you do it like this, you don't have to. It eliminates some of that error. And honestly, these aren't even starting to mold or anything, unlike the other ones. So what I'm going to do, I think, is actually just cover this back up and leave it and see if more of these pop open. So then I'm just going to plop a little dirt on there to keep them moist. I'm not going to pack it on there, really. I'm, not trying to kill them now that they're growing. I'm just trying to keep them wet, and I want them to be able to push that soil out of their way as they start to grow in these pots.